Welcome back to the channel, good friends. Brian from Apex Auction Recons. In the last video, we washed the minivan here, the auction minivan, for probably the first time in a year or two. And in the video, down in the comments section, there were questions about the Decon process. And I wanted to save that for a separate video for this video, so I can introduce you to something and show you something, enlighten you, and you might be entertained or even pissed off, because the car industry and those that are involved in the car industry, heavily invested in our vehicles, get ripped off on a daily basis. So I'll show you that towards the end of the video, but let's get started. I'll show you the different ways you can decon your vehicle, and we're going to be working on the public auction purchased minivan here. Let's get started. So I have lined up just a small example of some traditional ways to clay your vehicle. And by claying your vehicle, what you're doing is shearing off any rough, bonded dirt or grime or grease or tar that is attached to the paintwork itself. And if you're new to detailing, you know, all you have to do is take your hand along here or put your hand in a plastic sandwich bag, and it, for some reason, really magnifies the bumpiness, and you feel it in these areas right here, normally from front to back. Sometimes you'll feel it on the hood and the roof if there's overspray, but primarily it's going to be down here. And a protected car, unprotected car, you could still get bonded contaminants in some manner, some way or another, and you need a way to shear them off from the paint, and that's what these tools would be for. So there are synthetic clay mitts. Here's one. It's like a sleeve or a mitt. Put your hands in there, dip it into a bucket, work it that way. Here's a round puck that fits perfectly in the palm of your hand. Here's a real cheap one, $4. It's a new finish synthetic clay. And another synthetic material is on something called the auto scrub system from Nanosskin. And what this does is attaches, it's hook and loop, so it attaches to a polisher. I'll show you how to use all of these, and does a wonderful job. The only thing is, then you have to break out a polisher and your cord and get a little bit more involved. Then you have traditional clay, and it comes in mild, medium, and harsh, meaning there are abrasives in the automotive detailing clay. I'm going to save this for last because this you'll find very interesting. Let's get started and start to clay the auction minivan. Let's go over the way I like to clay the vehicle. So in the last video, this was washed, freshly washed, nice and clean. However, I feel the roughness, especially down here below this trim line, all the way back through and back to here. So we want to, before any paint correction, shave those off of there so it's perfectly nice and smooth. You can use a clay lube, dedicated clay lube, just another way to separate your money from your wallet. You can use a rinseless wash or a waterless wash if you have it. You can use a quick detailer. I like to just grab my wash mitt that I used just previously in the last video to wash it, and get some of the soapy water back on here. And I'll go front to back in the heavily contaminated areas. If you don't feel, by the way, if you don't feel bonded contaminants that you want to use, that you need to use clay on, then don't clay it, because these synthetic mitts and clay bars are abrasive, and if you use them, be prepared to follow up and polish those marks out. However, towards the end of the video, I will introduce something that may cut down on that. Very interesting. So, with the soapy water on here, with the clay mitt also soaking in, we can come in, and something this size, with a mitt this size, you can really get some work done. And you can actually hear it, I think you guys can hear it, picking up or picking off the bonded contaminant. And I like to go in straight lines, front to back, top to bottom. This is the soapy water. So this gives us a ton of lubrication, guys. The dedicated clay lubes will, and quick detailers and waterless washes will give you some. This to me gives you the best lubrication to help this from marring the surface. So, once I'm satisfied that I've gotten everything that's bonded sheared off, well, it would help if I turned the water on. Just give me 1 second. For Pete's sake. Sorry about that, friends. We're back, and we want to rinse off from top to bottom. Dry it off from there. Put that sandwich bag back on your hand, or with your glove on. Feel the surface, and at this point, it should be very, very smooth, silky smooth. So that is using synthetic clay, and in more detail, the sleeve or the mitt. Okay, there's another way to go about it, and this is still using a synthetic material, just a little bit of a different idea. And to me, you can really, once you have everything set up, cover a lot of area and move around quickly, and it does a fantastic job, and it makes it feel just silky smooth, mirror smooth to the surface. And that's using the Nanosskin Auto Scrub. These are a little bit pricey. They do last, so, you know, depending on how much work you can get done with it, you'll get your money's worth out of it. And to use these, I'll grab that wash mitt once again with the soapy water. And prepare the same way. Get it all suds up. Get a little bit of surfactant in there. Prime the pad with some. And you use this like you'd be polishing. But you can move a little bit quicker. You don't have to do it correction speed. You can move quicker and cover some more surface area. This is a larger throw polisher, so this will move along quickly. You do not need the polisher on the highest speed setting blazing at the 6 speed. The first 2 speed settings, or your lowest speed settings, are perfectly fine and safe enough to get the job done. And you just continue on around the vehicle, just like this. When you're doing paint correction, correction speed is 1 inch every second or 2, and you can move much faster. This does a lot of work. And when you're using a large throw and 6 inches for a pad, you'll cover a lot of surface area, and from there you just rinse, top to bottom. Dry it off, double check your work, and it will feel like glass. Now let's talk about automotive clay. Clay sold specifically for decontamination, that process when you're doing automotive detailing. This happens to be a fine clay, and it will tell you if it's fine, medium, or harsh, meaning there are abrasives within the clay. Take it out of its foil or its plastic wrapper, knead it a little bit, and then glide along the paint just like you would a synthetic mitt. but instead of the mitt picking up contaminants and being able to rinse away, you're going to pick up contaminants in this, and you'll have to eventually throw it away. So this, anywhere from 21 to 28 bucks. When we move on to what I'm going to show you next, you're going to be quite surprised, maybe a little disturbed. With clay, I will meet out a piece this size right here. And again, we use the soap. Let's do a different panel here so I can pick some contamination up. Let's do the back quarter panel, the whole thing. Show you what it looks like when the piece has plucked off that contamination and pulled it in within the clay. And you just do a section at a time, overlapping, so you have complete coverage, plucking off that contamination. Come back here. All right, great. So this is great. I'll be able to show you the dirt and the traffic film that the clay bar has picked up. Now, clay doesn't have to be abrasive. It will by itself, without abrasives, pluck off the contaminant. But they add abrasive so it can also do another chore, and that is to work on pulling off traffic film, which is anything that can mix together on the roadways, splash up, and cover and mask the gorgeous clear coat, or if you have protection like paint protection film or coating, it can mask the characteristics of both. So that's why they put abrasives in clay. And then, of course, after you're done claying, rinse, dry, check your work, see if you have to do it again. Simple as that. Okay. This, my friends, happens to be therapy putty. This is silicone polymers. This is polyethylene polymers. Guess what? They are the one and the same. They're pretty much the exact same thing. This has abrasives, this doesn't. So you can use this, something this size full, you can get at Kmart or Walmart for $8. The same amount, 21, 28. So why are two different substances have such quite a different price and price jump from one to another? Well, who knows? They're always screwing us in the car industry, so that's just the way it works. But this here acts the same way, and this is actually safe for coated or cars with sealants coatings or paint protection film, where you can clay them, and with it not having the abrasive within, it will do a lot less marring. Now you will still have to meet, like this here, you want to kind of meet it and keep doing that until there's a section showing that doesn't have any contaminants, and eventually you won't be able to do that, you have to throw it away. That's going to be the same here, but this is so much cheaper and will not scratch or mar the paint like this does. So something to keep in mind, and I'll show you how this works as well. So I just tore a piece off, and I'll knead it into a piece that's wide enough that I can put in my hand and rub along the paint and pluck off bonded contaminants. And what I'll do is grab the wash mitt once again. grab my synthetic silicone polymer and run it back and forth. The soap, detailers, water will not break this substance down. It is the exact same thing as a clay bar. And you, on a protected car, especially a coated or a car with a sealant, or let's say even paint protection film, you'll be able to decon it much, much safer. And in some instances, may not even have to polish afterwards. And that's the idea. And it works great. As mentioned earlier, this will get bits and pieces stuck within it itself, and you will have to meet it again until you have a nice, fresh section, and eventually we'll have to throw it away. That's going to do it for this video, guys. Let me know what you think about the differences between the therapy putty and clay. The huge price difference. Now, there is a little bit of abrasive. You're going to tell me that it costs $15 to $20 more for just to sprinkle a little bit of clay or whatever abrasive they want to use in their bars. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. This has been Brian from Apex Auction Recons. This thing is just about ready for paint correction. I want to show you how there's a lot of imperfections, defects, and damage on here. And I'll show you how I take care of them, everything from sanding and respraying with a spray gun to wet sanding to polishing, and then we'll coat this thing. I'll show you what I use. Maybe we'll use two and see how they compare on this thing. One coating for one side, another coating for another. That could be fun because this is going to see a lot of bad weather. All right, guys, catch you in the next video.